Welcome to my channel Physics Concepts. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most fundamental ideas in physics, breaking them down so they're super easy to understand. We'll cover everything from what makes things feel hot or cold to how engines work. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's unravel the mysteries of heat, temperature, and energy together. First up, let's talk about heat and temperature. You might think they're the same thing, but in physics, they're quite different. Imagine a tiny invisible dance party. Temperature is a measure of how fast the particles in a substance are moving or vibrating. The faster they move, the higher the temperature. So when you touch a hot cup of coffee, the particles in the cup are vibrating really quickly, and they transfer that energy to your hand. Heat, on the other hand, is the actual transfer of this energy from a hotter object to a colder one. It's not something an object asterisk has asterisk, but rather the energy that moves between objects because of a temperature difference. So heat is the energy in transit. Once it gets to the colder object and makes its particles move faster, we talk about the object's internal energy increasing, which we then measure as a rise in temperature. Think of temperature as the hotness level and heat as the flow of hotness. Now, how do we measure this temperature? We use different scales. The most common ones are Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. Celsius is used by most of the world. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees. In the United States, Fahrenheit is more common. On this scale, water freezes at 32 degrees and boils at 212. But in science, the king of temperature scales is Kelvin. The Kelvin scale starts at absolute zero, which is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. This is the coldest possible temperature, where particles practically stop moving. The cool thing about Kelvin is that its degrees are the same size as Celsius degrees, making conversions super simple. Just add 273.15 to your Celsius temperature to get Kelvin. So heat flows from hot to cold. But how does it travel? This is where thermoconductivity comes in. It's a measure of how well a material can conduct heat. Metals, for example, have high thermal conductivity. That's why a metal spoon in hot soup gets hot so quickly. The fast-moving particles at one end bump into their neighbors, passing the energy along the spoon like a chain reaction. Materials like wood, plastic, or the air itself are poor conductors, which we call insulators. That's why your coffee mug has a handle, probably made of ceramic, to stop the heat from reaching your hand too quickly. This property is crucial in everything from cooking pans to the insulation in our homes that keeps us warm in winter. Now let's shift our focus from solids and liquids to gases. The behavior of gases is described by a set of rules known as the gas laws. These laws connect pressure, volume, and temperature. Boyle's law states that if you keep the temperature constant, squeezing a gas into a smaller volume will increase its pressure. Think of pumping a bike tire. Charles's law says that if you keep the pressure constant, heating a gas will make it expand. This is why a hot air balloon rises. The hot air inside is less dense and takes up more space. Finally, Gay-Lussac's law tells us that if the volume is constant, heating a gas will increase its pressure. This is what happens inside a pressure cooker. Together, these laws form the ideal gas law, a powerful equation that helps scientists and engineers predict how gases will behave under different conditions. This brings us to a huge and fascinating field: thermodynamics. It's the science of heat, work, and energy. It's governed by a few fundamental laws. The first law of thermodynamics is basically the law of conservation of energy. It says energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed from one form to another. When you eat food, your body converts the chemical energy in the food into heat to keep you warm and into mechanical energy to move your muscles. The second law is a bit more abstract. It introduces the concept of entropy, which is a measure of disorder or randomness. The second law says that in any energy transfer, the total entropy of the universe always increases. In simpler terms, things naturally tend to move from a state of order to disorder. A neat stack of papers is more likely to become a messy pile than the other way around. This law also explains why heat always flows from hot to cold and why perpetual motion machines are impossible. Let's go back to heating things up. Have you ever noticed that it takes a lot more time to boil a large pot of water than a small cup? This is because of something called heat capacity. Heat capacity is the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of an object by 1 degree. A big pot of water has a larger heat capacity than a small cup. But to compare materials fairly, we use specific heat capacity. This is the heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram or 1 kilogram of a substance by 1 degree. Water has a very high specific heat capacity. This means it can absorb a lot of heat without its temperature rising dramatically. This is why coastal areas have milder climates than inland areas. The ocean absorbs heat in the summer and releases it slowly in the winter, moderating the temperature. Now, what happens when you keep heating water? At 100 degrees Celsius, it starts to boil and turn into steam. But you'll notice that even if you keep the stove on high, the temperature of the boiling water stays at 100 degrees. So where is all that extra heat energy going? It's being used to change the state of the water from liquid to gas. This hidden heat is called the latent heat of vaporization. A similar thing happens when ice melts. At 0 degrees Celsius, ice turns into water. The energy required to break the bonds of the solid ice and turn it into liquid water without changing the temperature is called the latent heat of fusion. This is why ice is so effective at cooling your drink. It absorbs a lot of heat from the drink just to melt, long before the resulting water even starts to warm up. Closely related to this is evaporation. Evaporation is the process where a liquid turns into a gas, but it can happen at any temperature, not just at the boiling point. The puddle on the sidewalk disappears on a sunny day because of evaporation. The fastest moving molecules at the surface of the liquid have enough energy to escape into the air. When they leave, they take their energy with them, which cools down the liquid left behind. This is exactly how sweating cools you down. The sweat evaporates from your skin, taking heat with it and leaving you feeling cooler. The rate of evaporation depends on things like temperature, humidity, and wind speed. Finally, let's talk about thermal expansion. Almost all substances expand when they are heated and contract when they are cooled. This happens because when particles are heated, they move faster and push each other further apart, causing the whole object to get bigger. This might seem like a small effect, but it's incredibly important in engineering. Bridges are built with special expansion joints gaps that allow the metal to expand on a hot day without buckling. Railroad tracks are laid with small gaps between the rails for the same reason. Even the mercury or alcohol in the traditional thermometer works on this principle. As the temperature rises, the liquid expands and moves up the tube, giving you a reading. So there you have it. From the dance of tiny particles determining temperature to the flow of heat, the behavior of gases, and the grand laws of thermodynamics that govern our universe. We've seen how these concepts explain everything from why you feel cold after a swim to how massive bridges are designed. Physics isn't just equations on a blackboard. It's the instruction manual for the world around us. I hope this has made these ideas a little clearer and more intuitive. Thanks for watching Physics Concepts. If you enjoyed this journey and want to learn more, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more easy-to-understand science. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.